Welcome back to Logic Queen's Book Reviews. My name is Logic Queen, and I've got a new book to review today. Today's book is The Merchant's Daughter by Melanie Dickerson. Now, I know I've reviewed a book by Melanie Dickerson already, but, this is a different one, and I was excited to read this one too. And so I'm excited to share it with you. Today, we're going to be using this as the historical fiction mark on our book bingo. So, The Merchant's Daughter is a historical fiction romance based on the story of Beauty and the Beast. The story follows a young woman who is indentured to the new lord of their town because of her family's debt. Throughout her time there, she discovers that there is more to this beastly lord than meets the surface. At the same time, through his interactions with this pure-hearted maiden, the lord learns how to overcome his tragic past. So, as always, I'll review this with the normal sections, relationships, words, things that happened, and feels. So, relationships. Of course, this is a romance novel, so I have to talk about the romance that happens. But I would say it's all very clean romance. Of course, there is some kisses because, it's a romance novel, but it's really not a big thing. There's not a whole bunch of romance in most of it, which is kind of nice. I will say there are some insinuations, like some of the other girls are insinuating that they have been with a man already, or that someone else has, or just gossip like that. And so that is something that happens in the book, but it's not a big thing in the book. But we do have some loyal friendships in this book. There are some loyal friends to the main character, so loyal, probably even to the point of death. Of course, you don't see that in this book, but very loyal. And so we have some good friendships. But at the same time, you also have an uncaring family. The main character, her family doesn't really care for her. And that's part of the reason why she is the one who goes to pay her family's debts and not the other members of her family. We also have a lustful man that is the main antagonist in this book. And I will get to more about him in a later section. So anyway, relationships, I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. Pretty good. Okay, words. Christian book by a Christian author, so there's no language. It is a young adult novel, so I just want to, say that again, make you guys aware of that. And I'd say the reading level is like 6th, 7th grade. Honestly, there's not much else to say in this section. This one takes place in 1352 England, so we don't have any German words like we did in the other one. And so I'd say 5 out of 5 stars. Like I said, there's not much to say about this section. Okay, things that happened. So, like I said, the main antagonist is a man who lusts after and tries to take advantage of our main character, our protagonist. So that is just that's the main plot line, I suppose. So that's something to be aware of. There is a scene where he has captured her, but she gets away. And so that's all I'll say because I don't want to give spoilers. But that's the climax of that storyline. There are also some trials in this book. So one of them is at the beginning of the book. It's her family's on trial for the refusal of work, and that's how she becomes indentured to the new lord of the town. And then there's another trial later for attempted murder. So those, just something to be aware of. Like I said, this is a take on Beauty and the Beast, and so we do have that intention to kill the beast, like the kill the beast scene. It's not really anything graphic in that section, but that is a scene in the book. And then the only other thing of note is there's a preacher who condemns women. That's what he preaches every week. But of course, we follow the main character and she's got different views on the subject. So that's all that I can remember. I definitely could have missed some things. But from what I can remember in those things, I would say 3 out of 5 stars on things that happened. And it really wasn't bad. It was pretty good. Okay, feels. I'd say that their book is pretty good feels. I enjoyed the book. I do love Beauty and the Beast. That's probably my favorite of the fairy tale stories. So I am a little biased from that. But, very fun read. good feels. We do have an anguished character, and so that's just something to be aware of. And then we have the main character's fear in a few scenes, like you can feel her fear. But overall, I'd still say it's a good book, has good feels, and I would recommend it. So I'm gonna say 4 out of 5 stars on feels. Okay, and then here's our final review. Overall, I'd say it's 4 out of 5 stars. It's really good. There are a few scenes that are maybe a little bit like meant for an older audience, which, it is a young adult book, but there's nothing bad in the book. There's nothing that I think goes over the edge, and I enjoyed the book. Okay, my closing thoughts. This book is more like the other books that I've read by Melanie Dickerson. It has a sweet love story between a maiden and a lord, and some action, but nothing too bad or too intense. One of my favorite parts was the main character's desire to read the Bible. It felt so real and makes me appreciate that I get to read the Bible every day. And so that's something I didn't really get to mention. I wanted to mention in the closing thoughts because that is a big part of the main character's identity. And so this book, I would recommend it, probably ages 14 plus, just because it's meant for an older audience. But I think probably if you had maybe preview it if you want someone younger to read, if someone younger wants to read it. But yeah, that's my review. And so here's our book bingo. Here's where we're at. We just marked off historical fiction for this book, and so that makes 4 spaces. Moving right along, I can already foresee like a bingo like super soon if I read the right books. So anyway, that's all for today.